Jack Thornton was, by all accounts, the least qualified person to represent humanity in the Galactic Council. His coffee-stained tie hung perpetually askew, his hair defied the laws of physics, and his ability to trip over absolutely nothing was unmatched in the known universe. Yet here he was, stumbling through the gleaming corridors of the Galactic Council station. A diplomatic portfolio clutched under one arm and a half-eaten breakfast sandwich in the other. "Excuse me, pardon me, sorry about that," Jack called out as he narrowly avoided colliding with an 8-foot-tall gelatinous being. The Morphean diplomat rippled with annoyance, its translucent body flashing warning colors of deep purple and crimson. "Human Jack Thornton, you are 14 minutes and 27 seconds late for your orientation," chirped the AI assistant floating beside him. The small drone, which Jack had nicknamed Buzzkill, hovered at eye level, its blue sensor swiveling to track his every move. "Yes, thank you for the update, Buzzkill." "I'm well aware of my tardiness," Jack replied, taking another bite of his sandwich. "I'd be less late if the artificial gravity in the human quarters hadn't gone haywire again. Do you know how hard it is to put on pants when you're bouncing off the ceiling?" "Maintenance logs indicate no such malfunction," Buzzkill stated flatly. "Of course they don't," Jack muttered. "Look, can you just tell me where the council chamber is? The map they gave me looks like someone sneezed on a circuit board." The drone emitted what sounded suspiciously like a sigh. "Follow the blue luminescent path, and please discard your food item before entering. The Grey Kadorian ambassador is highly sensitive to the scent of processed wheat products." Jack stuffed the remaining sandwich into his mouth, cheeks bulging like a chipmunk's. "Sweater?" he mumbled through the food. As he approached the entrance to the council chamber, Jack noticed something odd. Every non-human diplomat was being thoroughly scanned at the security checkpoint. The weapons of various designs were being surrendered, and catalogued everything from energy pistols to ceremonial daggers to what appeared to be a particularly angry potted plant. Yet when Jack reached the checkpoint, the guards, 4-armed Praxians with exoskeletons that gleamed like polished obsidian, simply waved him through. "Don't you need to scan me or something?" Jack asked, stopping short. The Praxian guard blinked multiple sets of compound eyes. "Negative, human. You are exempt from the weapons protocol." "I am." "Cool, I guess," Jack shrugged, too focused on not being even later to question this unexpected courtesy. He hurried through the massive doors, only to catch his foot on the threshold and go sprawling across the polished floor of the council chamber. His diplomatic portfolio flew open, scattering documents like confetti. Jack slid several feet before coming to a stop directly in the center of the chamber, surrounded by the representatives of 57 galactic species, all staring down at him from their raised platforms. "Ah, the human representative has arrived," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, always making an entrance, as is their custom. Jack scrambled to his feet, his face burning hotter than a neutron star. The chamber was vast, a perfect dome with platforms arranged in concentric circles. Each platform held representatives from different worlds, many of which Jack couldn't even begin to identify despite his crash course in xenobiology. Sorry, he muttered, gathering his scattered papers. "Slippery floor. Very shiny. Excellent janitorial work. Really top-notch." As he collected the last document, Jack noticed something strange. The chamber had gone completely silent. The kind of silence that feels like a physical presence, pressing against your eardrums. He looked up to find every alien eye, optical sensor, and sensory appendage fixed on him, specifically on his hands. "Is there a problem?" Jack asked, suddenly self-conscious. He checked his hands. Nothing but the usual human appendages, complete with the paper cut he'd gotten that morning. "The human displays no concern," whispered a serpentine diplomat to its neighbor. "Such confidence." "Freight. The audacity," hissed another, standing in the center of the chamber, completely unrestrained. Jack blinked in confusion. Should I be restrained?" From the highest platform, a being composed entirely of swirling energy contained within a crystalline exosuit leaned forward. "Human Thornton, please take your assigned seat. The council session is about to begin, and we have much to discuss regarding the Proximum border dispute. Still bewildered, Jack made his way to the platform marked with the Earth insignia. As he settled into his seat, he couldn't help but notice that every other species in the chamber was wearing some form of restraint magnetic cuffs, neural inhibitors, or physical bindings, every diplomat except him. PSTs, he whispered to the furred creature beside him. Why am I the only one not wearing restraints? The creature's ears flattened against its head. Because human, your kind, is the only species trusted to be unarmed in council chambers. Did they not brief you on this? Jack glanced down at the untouched orientation packet in his portfolio. I might have skimmed that part. Typical human, the alien muttered, blithely unaware of their own terrifying reputation. As the council session began, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something important. Something that explained why 57 advanced alien species, many of whom possessed technology that made Earth look like it was still banging rocks together, seemed genuinely nervous about one disheveled human diplomat with a penchant for tripping over his own feet. Little did he know, he was about to find out exactly why. The council session dragged on for what felt like eternities. Jack struggled to keep his eyes open as representatives from 17 different star systems argued about trade route allocations with all the excitement of watching paint dry in slow motion. And now, announced the crystalline chair being, we will hear from the Arcturian delegation regarding their petition to increase neutrino harvesting quotas in the Cygnus sector. Jack stifled a yawn and glanced around the chamber. Every other diplomat was sitting ramrod straight, fully engaged in the proceedings, while he was fantasizing about the coffee machine he'd spotted in the diplomatic lounge. That's when he noticed Ambassador Krell-Tak, the reptilian representative from Draconis Prime, staring at him from across the chamber. Krell-Tak's scaled face was impossible to read, but the intensity of his gaze made Jack squirm in his seat. The ambassador's ceremonial armor gleamed under the chamber lights, the restraints on his clawed hands seeming more decorative than functional. Human Thornton, a voice whispered from behind. Jack turned to find a woman in an impeccable Earth diplomatic uniform. Her name badge read Vasquez Mira, senior diplomat. You're making a scene, she hissed. Stop fidgeting. I'm not, Jack began, then realized he'd been drumming his fingers on the table. Sorry. Who are you again? Mira's expression suggested she was mentally calculating how many regulations she'd break by strangling him. Your supervisor. The one who sent you 17 briefing packets that you clearly didn't read. I skimmed them, Jack protested weakly. The council is adjourned for refreshment, announced the chair being. We will reconvene in 30 minutes. As the chamber emptied, Mira grabbed Jack's arm and steered him toward a private alcove. We need to talk, and you need to listen. Do you have any idea why you're here? Budget cuts, Jack ventured. I assumed I was the only one desperate enough to take a job with possible molecular disintegration listed as a workplace hazard. Mira pinched the bridge of her nose. You're here because of what happened during first contact, the incident that established the unarmed human protocol. Jack blinked. That was 70 years ago, and no one in the galaxy has forgotten it, Mira said grimly. Let me refresh your clearly inadequate briefing. She activated a holographic display on her wrist device. The image showed Earth, circa 2087, when the massive ships of the Galactic Confederation had appeared in orbit, triggering global panic. The Confederation sent their most intimidating diplomatic team, Mira explained. The Draconians, the Ursorians, and the Mechanoids. They expected Earth to surrender immediately. The hologram shifted to show the historic meeting in Geneva. 7-foot-tall reptilians, bear-like creatures with tusks, and hovering robots faced a delegation of humans in business attire. What they didn't expect was Janet Kirkpatrick. Mira continued. The hologram zoomed in on an elderly woman with a pearl necklace and a cardigan. She looked like someone's grandmother, which she was, along with being the UN Secretary General. When Draconian Commander Vex Thar attempted to intimidate Earth's delegation by executing his subordinate for a minor protocol error, Janet didn't flinch. The hologram showed the massive reptilian drawing an energy weapon, followed by Janet Kirkpatrick calmly rising from her seat, walking over to the refreshment table, and returning with a ballpoint pen. What happened next has been classified by 17 governments, Mira said, but the result was 3 dead Draconians, a disabled mechanoid, and Commander Vex Thar pledging Earth's immediate admission to the Galactic Confederation with full voting rights. The hologram showed Janet Kirkpatrick returning to her seat, smoothing her cardigan, and asking if anyone would like a cup of tea. With a pen? Jack asked incredulously. With a standard-issue big ballpoint, Mira confirmed. That's why humans are the only species allowed to be unarmed in council chambers, because in human hands, there's no such thing as being unarmed. Jack swallowed hard. And they sent me because you, Mira said with a hint of mischief, are the most accidentally destructive person in the diplomatic corps. Your chaos is our greatest asset. Jack was still processing the revelation about his diplomatic qualifications when alarms began blaring throughout the station. The pleasant azure lighting shifted to a pulsing red, and announcements in 17 different languages echoed through the corridors. "What's happening?" he asked, but Mira was already checking her communication device. "New delegation," she muttered. "Unexpected arrival. This wasn't scheduled for another 3 cycles." The council chamber doors burst open as security personnel ushered diplomats back to their seats. Jack found himself swept along in the tide of aliens, some slithering, others floating, all looking unusually agitated. "Who's arriving?" Jack whispered to the 3rd diplomat next to him, who had introduced himself earlier as Ambassador Grix of the Felician Confederation. Grix's whiskers twitched nervously, the Volcari Dominion. They've been expanding aggressively through the Outer Rim. This is their first formal contact with the Council. Jack settled into his seat just as the chamber doors opened again. The new delegation entered, and a collective hush fell over the assembly. The Volcari were imposing tall, insectoid creatures with carapaces that shimmered with an oily iridescence. Their forearms ended in pincers that clicked rhythmically, creating an unsettling percussion that echoed through the chamber. Unlike the other diplomats, the Volcari wore no restraints. "Ah, crap," Mira whispered from behind Jack. The lead Volcari stepped forward, mandibles working as a translator converted its chittering speech into standard galactic. "The Volcari Dominion greets the Galactic Council," it announced. "We are pleased to join this assembly of inferior life forms." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Not big on diplomatic niceties, are they?" "We notice," continued the Volcari representative, "that your security protocols are inconsistent. All council members wear restraints, except its compound eyes swiveled toward Jack, this soft creature. The chair being's crystalline form pulsed with diplomatic distress. "The human exemption is well established in council protocols. The Volcari will comply with all other security measures." The Volcari's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sound Jack instinctively recognized as laughter. "The Volcari Dominion complies with nothing. If this weak species is exempt, so are we." Jack watched in alarm as the Volcari delegation moved toward their designated platform, unrestrained and clearly armed. He could see the outlines of weapons beneath their carapaces. "This is bad," whispered Grix. "The Volcari are known for their aggressive expansionism, if they refuse council protocols." "Then what?" asked Jack. "Then the council appears weak, and the Volcari will exploit their perception across the galaxy." The chair being's voice resonated through the chamber. "The human exemption exists for historical reasons that the Volcari may not be aware of." "We are aware," chittered the Volcari representative. "We simply do not believe it. We have studied your humans. They are soft, fragile. Their planet is backward, their technology primitive. The story of one elderly female defeating armed warriors with a writing implement is clearly propaganda." Jack felt a strange sense of indignation rising in his chest. Sure, humans might be the new kids on the galactic block, but they'd earned their place here. Before he could think better of it, Jack stood up. The entire chamber froze, all eyes turning toward him. Representative Thornton. The chair being warned. This is not the protocol. With respect, chair being, Jack interrupted, straightening his crooked tie. I think I should address this directly. The Volcari representative's mandibles clicked in amusement. The soft one speaks. What violence can you threaten us with, human? You carry no weapons. Jack smiled, channeling a confidence he absolutely did not feel. That's where you're wrong. I'm not allowed weapons because I don't need them. He stepped away from his platform and accidentally knocked over his water glass, sending it crashing to the floor. The Volcari flinched collectively at the sudden noise, pincers raising defensively. Sorry, Jack said, bending to pick up the broken glass. As he straightened, he slipped on the spilled water and stumbled forward, arms windmilling wildly directly toward the Volcari delegation. What happened next would later be described in the council records as the incident. The incident, as it would later be euphemistically called in 17 different diplomatic languages, lasted approximately 12 seconds. Jack, windmilling toward the Volcari delegation, somehow managed to 1. Trip over his own feet. 2. Grab the ceremonial staff of a nearby Andorran diplomat for balance. 3. Spin said staff like an impromptu baton. 4. Accidentally strike the lead Volcari's primary sensory node. 5. Land face first on the chamber floor with a resounding thud. Silence fell across the council chamber, broken only by the sound of the staff clattering to the ground beside Jack's prostrate form. The Volcari leader emitted a high-pitched keening sound that the translator couldn't, or wouldn't, interpret. Its compound eyes flickered between rage and something that looked suspiciously like fear. The human has attacked our delegation, another Volcari announced. This proves our point. They should be restrained like the dangerous creatures they are. Jack pushed himself up, nose bleeding slightly. That was an accident. I just slipped on. Silence. Commanded the chair being, its crystalline form pulsing with diplomatic emergency colors. This is unprecedented. A formal challenge has been issued. Mira appeared at Jack's side, helping him to his feet while hissing in his ear, Do you have any idea what you've done? Embarrass myself in front of the entire galactic community, Jack whispered back. You've triggered the challenge protocol, Mira explained hurriedly. It's an ancient council tradition. When one delegation challenges another's status or privileges, they can demand a formal demonstration. Jack paled. A demonstration of what exactly? Before Mira could answer, the Volcari leader stepped forward, mandibles clicking aggressively. We demand the human demonstrate why his species deserves special treatment. If he fails, all humans will be subject to the same restraints as other council members. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Jack noticed Ambassador Krell Thak watching with what appeared to be reptilian amusement, while Greerakes looked genuinely concerned. Very well, the chair being announced. As per council tradition, the challenge is accepted. Human representative Thornton will demonstrate the reason for the human exemption. Wait, I will? Jack squeaked. The demonstration will take place in the exhibition arena in 1 standard hour, continued the chair being. All delegations will attend to witness. The council session adjourned, diplomats filing out while casting curious glances at Jack. Ambassador Krell Thak passed by, leaning in to whisper, Try not to die too quickly, human. I have wagered considerably on you lasting at least 5 minutes. Once the chamber emptied, Jack turned to Mira in panic. What exactly am I supposed to demonstrate? I don't know any super-secret human combat techniques. The most violent thing I've ever done was beat my roommate at racquetball. Mira paced, her diplomatic composure cracking. This is a disaster. The Volcari are renowned warriors. Their challenge will undoubtedly involve combat. Combat? Jack's voice cracked. With what? I don't have any weapons. That's the point, Mira said. You need to demonstrate why humans don't need weapons, why we're dangerous enough without them. But I'm not dangerous. I'm the least dangerous human in the diplomatic corps. That's why they sent me here, right? Because I'm harmless. Mira shook her head. No, we sent you because you cause accidental chaos. There's a difference. She sighed, checking her communication device. The exhibition arena is being prepared. We have less than an hour to figure out how you're going to convince the entire Galactic Council that one unarmed human is more dangerous than a fully armed Volcari warrior. Jack slumped into a chair, desperately trying to recall any self-defense classes he might have accidentally attended. Can't we just tell them about Janet Kirkpatrick and the pen thing? Stories aren't enough. The Volcari respect only demonstration. Mira handed him a towel for his bleeding nose. The future of human diplomatic standing rests on your shoulders, Jack. Jack dabbed at his nose, his mind racing, no pressure or anything. As they headed toward the exhibition arena, Jack couldn't help but notice that the other diplomats were giving him an unusually wide berth, as if he might spontaneously combust. They're afraid of me, he realized aloud. Not you specifically, Mira corrected, but you represent. The unknown capacity of humans to turn anything into a weapon. Jack looked down at his trembling hands. If only they knew. The exhibition arena was packed. Every diplomatic delegation had turned out to witness the challenge, creating a sea of diverse alien forms in the tiered seating. Jack stood in the center of the circular arena, feeling very much like a gladiator about to face his doom. Remember, Mira whispered from the sidelines, just try to stay alive long enough for me to file an official protest. That's your advice? Jack hissed back, stay alive. Before Mira could respond, the arena lights dimmed, and the chair being's crystalline form glowed brightly from the highest observation platform. We are gathered to witness the challenge of status, announced the chair being. The Volcari Dominion has challenged the human exemption from restraint protocols. Representative Thornton will demonstrate why humans alone carry this privilege. The Volcari delegation chittered excitedly. Their champion stepped into the arena, a towering insectoid warrior whose carapace had been polished to a mirror shine. It carried nothing that looked like a conventional weapon, but its 4 pincers clicked menacingly. The rules are simple, continued the chair being. The human will demonstrate their inherent danger without the use of weapons. The Volcari champion may respond as it sees fit. Wait, Jack called out. What exactly am I supposed to? The Volcari champion charged. Jack let out a very undignified yelp and dove to the side, narrowly avoiding being skewered by a pincer. He rolled awkwardly, years of falling over his own feet giving him an unexpected talent for tumbling. Is running away part of the human combat technique? Whoa, the Volcari representative called out mockingly. Jack scrambled to his feet, frantically scanning the arena for anything he could use. The space was deliberately empty, a perfect circle with nothing but smooth floor and walls. The Volcari champion clicked its mandibles and stalked toward him. Jack backed away, his diplomatic portfolio still clutched absurdly under his arm. He hadn't even had time to put it down. Wait, Jack called out, raising his hand. To his surprise, the Volcari paused. I propose a diplomatic solution, Jack improvised wildly. As Earth's representative, I offer a cultural exchange instead of combat. The Volcari tilted its head, compound eyes glittering with curiosity. Cultural exchange, translated the arena's system. Yes, Jack continued, gaining confidence. On Earth we have a tradition. Before combat we share knowledge. He opened his portfolio and pulled out his electronic tablet. I'd like to show you something. The Volcari approached cautiously. Jack held up the tablet, accessing the station's data network. He pulled up the first thing he could think of, a classic Earth animation of a cat chasing a laser pointer. The Volcari's compound eyes fixed on the moving red dot. Its posture changed subtly, mandibles stilling. This is a traditional Earth combat training video, Jack explained, moving the tablet slowly. The Volcari's head tracked the movement of the laser dot on screen. Jack heard murmurs from the audience. Right from the corner of his eye, he could see Mira facepalming. The Volcari champion suddenly reached for the tablet. Jack flinched backward, losing his grip on the device. The tablet fell to the floor, its screen cracking. Sparks flew from the damaged battery. What happened next was pure reflex. Jack stomped on the sparking tablet, grabbed his water bottle from his pocket, and doused the smoldering electronics. Except it wasn't his water bottle. It was the high alcohol content Arcturian liquor that Greerix had given him earlier for courage. The liquid hit the exposed battery, and a plume of blue flame erupted. The Volcari shrieked, backing away from the sudden fire. Jack grabbed his portfolio and swung it at the flames, trying to smother them. Instead, the rush of air fed the fire, sending it spreading across the arena floor in a perfect circle around the Volcari champion, who was now chittering in what sounded suspiciously like panic. The audience gasped collectively. From his observation platform, Ambassador Krell-Thak leaned forward, reptilian eyes widening. "The human has created fire from nothing," someone shouted. It trapped the Volcari champion without touching it." Jack stood there, portfolio still raised, utterly bewildered by the turn of events. The Volcari champion remained frozen in the circle of flames, clearly unwilling to step through the fire. Jack looked at Mira, who was staring at him with a mixture of horror and admiration. "I yield?" The Volcari champion immediately chittered what the translator rendered as "I accept your mercy, dangerous one." The aftermath of the demonstration was swift and dramatic. The flames died down quickly thanks to the arena's automatic fire suppression system, but the impression they made on the council was indelible. The council chamber reconvened in emergency session just 30 minutes later. Jack found himself once again the center of attention, though this time the looks directed his way contained more awe than amusement. "The Volcari Dominion withdraws its challenge," announced the insectoid representative, mandibles clicking in what Jack now recognized as nervous agitation. "We acknowledge the wisdom of the Council's human exemption protocol." Jack tried to maintain a dignified expression, despite having no idea what he had actually done to warrant this response. Beside him, Mira was radiating a mixture of relief and smug satisfaction. "I told you," she whispered. "Accidental chaos is your superpower." The chair being's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been approval. "The Council acknowledges the Volcari's withdrawal. The human exemption stands. Furthermore, in light of today's events, I propose a new security protocol." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "The human representative will henceforth be assigned as special security consultant to the Council." "Wait, what?" Jack blurted out. "Your unique ability to transform harmless objects into defensive systems is unparalleled," the chair being continued. "The Council would benefit from this human perspective." Ambassador Krell-Thak rose from his platform. "I second the motion." The human's technique was illuminating. Was that reptilian humor? Jack couldn't tell. "But I didn't actually." Jack began. Mira elbowed him sharply. "Accept the honor, diplomat," she hissed. I am honored to accept," Jack managed. The Volcari representative approached Jack after the session adjourned, keeping a respectful distance. "You must teach us this cultural exchange combat technique," it chittered. The fire circle maneuver was particularly impressive. "It's a closely guarded human secret," Jack improvised. "Takes years of training." As the Volcari moved away, Ambassador Greeks bounded up, whiskers twitching with excitement. "You used my ceremonial liquor as a weapon. Brilliant." "And all part of the plan," Jack lied through his teeth. Later, in the relative privacy of the diplomatic lounge, Jack finally cornered Mira. "Will someone please explain what just happened? I literally had no idea what I was doing out there." Mira smiled, a rare, genuine expression breaking through her diplomatic facade. "That's exactly why humans are so feared and respected, Jack. It's not that we're stronger or faster or have better technology. It's that we can turn anything into a weapon without even trying." She gestured toward the window, where the vast expanse of space stretched before them, dotted with the lights of thousands of civilizations. Most species evolved with natural weapons, claws, pincers, venomous secretions. They never needed to look at a stick and think. I could sharpen this and stab something with it. But humans, we've been turning random objects into deadly weapons since we climbed down from the trees. Jack considered this. So the reason humans are the only ones allowed to be unarmed in council chambers is because there's no such thing as an unarmed human, Mira finished. Not as long as there's a ballpoint pen, a metal chair, or even a broken tablet nearby. Ambassador Krell Thak appeared at Jack's elbow, making him jump. The reptilian diplomat's scales rippled with what might have been amusement. Your demonstration was most educational, Human Thornton, Krell Thak rumbled. You won me considerable wager credits. Happy to help, Jack replied weakly. I particularly enjoyed your pretense of incompetence, the ambassador continued. A clever tactic to disarm your opponents. Jack opened his mouth to correct this misapprehension, then thought better of it. Yes, exactly. All part of human diplomatic strategy. As Krell Thak moved away, Jack turned back to Mira. So I'm stuck with this security consultant position now. Could be worse, she replied. The last human representative was made chief of weapons innovation after she accidentally created a sonic disruptor from a broken food synthesizer. Jack gazed out at the stars, a slow smile spreading across his face. You know what the funniest part is? Back home, I'm not even allowed to use the office paper cutter without supervision.